Woo!
Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow, yo.
Welcome back to the Road to Self-Love. It's your boy Paul Fishman, self-love coach and you do you activist, here today with my good friend, Vinny Bonanno. It's very important for me to allow you to introduce yourself as you would like to be known.
I am Vinny Bonanno and I stretch in public, engaging other people to join me and spreading the love of movement and the power of doing it in public.
A movement.
A movement. A movement of movement.
Of movement. Where did this all come from?
So, my early days spent performing gave me a love of being on stage and being in like emoting and having an audience feel something. And then I was a spin teacher in Midtown Manhattan, and I was also an accountant, and I found that taking care of my body was something I loved, and I was at JFK in 2008, and I put my foot up on the conveyor belt at baggage claim after a long flight, and I did a lunge, and I closed my eyes and I was like feeling myself, and I opened my eyes and 3 people were doing the exact same lunge, and I thought, oh my gosh, light bulb, this is powerful. This is an energetic exchange. From that day, I've been watching as I stretch in public.
So this started back in 2008.
Yeah.
Like, it's more than just you going out in public and stretching. Like, what have you been up to recently?
So I've been leading meetups and also being really engaged in how people view, and the people view me while I'm stretching, and then the people that look interested, come on over, let's do this. Like
Christina Aguilera style.
Come on over, baby. It turns into like a circle of people that may have not even spoken. 2 months ago, I left New York in my van and I drove across the country and stopped in 13 cities to stretch in public and engage people and spread the movement of movement.
I'm curious, what is the difference between stretching in public and doing yoga?
What I love about stretching in public is that anyone has access to it. Even if you're not drawn to the word yoga, maybe you have no interest in the word yoga, or maybe you don't have the money to go to a yoga studio, or you don't want to go to a yoga studio, but you do want to take care of your body. So this is kind of like taking tools from yoga, from dance, from movement practices, and bringing them to just mindful people who are ready to take care of themselves.
What if mindfulness is a practice that is really unknown? Like, what's the first step for mindfulness?
Breathing. When we slow down or take deeper breaths, you become more in tune with something that we're doing without thinking about it, right? I think having 3 breaths where you're tapped in and you kind of let other things fall away, it's like tuning your instrument of your brain to listen to the physical and the mental. When you start to listen, your body will tell you what you need.
Listen to your body. You were an accountant, working at a 9 to 5, and like really just doing all the things and avoiding this like purpose and passion of stretching in public. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the avoidance and then the journey from avoiding to full on stepping into your truth.
9 to 5, it's a lot of time. I was rationalizing. It's like, I tell stories with numbers. Part of me was like, let's go, let's jump. But there was a part of me that wanted that stability of income. The shift was when I found yoga. I went to India, studied philosophy, came back, I studied nutrition. So once I felt I had enough tools, that's when I felt equipped to say thank you so much for the opportunity to have a stable accounting job, but it's time for me to fly.
And what happened when you went in to quit?
My boss gave me 2 high fives. Like, I told her I was gonna start a health coaching practice and teach yoga, and she was like, yes.
What would you tell a person or say to a person who's listening to this and feels so inspired to really step in? Like, what would you say to them?
I'd say study the things you're passionate about. Take classes. Keep educating. Like, educating ourselves is like the best, I think it's the best thing we can spend our time and our money on.
It's the perfect time for our first road trip game.
Woo!
And we're gonna play a quick fire challenge. I'm gonna say like a physical ailment or a feeling, and then you're just gonna quick fire the first stretch that you think would be great to support the healing of that. With the caveat that Vinny has agreed to supply us a free printout of all of these stretches that we're about to talk about. And I'll give you all the details in the show notes, but this is very, very exciting. Okay, so are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, sore lower back.
Lower back. Forward fold, hang out there for as long as possible, 60 seconds to 5 minutes.
If you sit down all day at work.
Ooh, get up and circle your hips and a low lunge with your back knee on the ground.
What if you have like really tight hamstrings?
Pyramid pose, and again, forward fold.
Shoulders really tense up towards your ears.
Drop your shoulders and do some neck stretches.
You've landed here in California. You spent the last 2 months driving cross country, meeting all these people. What was your the biggest takeaway from your journey across the country?
There are a lot of beautiful people, loving, caring people that want to share. As I share, and it's returned when there's an exchange of love, of smiles, of care. It's so beautiful. When
you left that job and you said step fully into teaching yoga and health coaching and all that jazz, what would you say was that shift you noticed?
I was more engaged than when I was in college, than when I was studying things that I didn't have such a deep connection with. So to understand something, I felt like I could share it from a place of truth, and I felt like I could share honestly and truthfully and stand behind the things that I was ready to share.
What's next for you, or what are things that kind of fill your cup?
I love teaching. I love getting the feedback from people who take my classes and having a dialogue. I will be teaching online on Patreon. I'll also be teaching a retreat down in Panama in February.
I would love to play our next road trip game.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. We're going to play Fuck, Marry, Kill. Stretching in public, yoga in a studio, yoga retreats.
Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna marry something.
Yes.
And be with it forever. Stretching in public. And I'm gonna fuck something. Oh, yoga retreats. Oh, all that one-on-one and the excursions and the time together. And so I'm killing in studio yoga classes, which fits what I'm doing because I want to take this out of the studio onto the street.
What does self-love mean to you?
Sitting with myself and listening. Quiet. I usually take on the energy of someone else and the people around me, so and I enjoy it. Palo Santo, sage burning, cleanse everything off and sit by myself. What do I need in this moment? Me.
And where can everyone find you?
Find me at Stretching in Public on the gram, my website, stretchinginpublic.com. patreon.com/stretchinginpublic. I have some YouTube happening. There's actually some free 5-minute classes on there.
Thank you so much for joining me on the road. Is there any last words that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Break boundaries, listen to yourself more often than you're listening to other people, and move your body as often as possible.
Thank you so much for joining us on the road to self-love. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.